My interest started in my youth, when I lived in Field Road. Our next door neighbor at number 35 was Lily and Bill Jones, who were brother and sister. Billy was a fisherman and lifeboatman. The daily catch was sold from their backyard. Stories had been passed down the generations, about buried treasure and Mother Redcaps. Lily told me about the secret tunnels, smugglers, and treasures. With only one winding path through the marsh to arrive at its inviting doors. Welcome to Mother Redcaps, set on the very boundary between the ancient kingdoms of Mercia and Northumbria. Now let me take you on a journey through the cobwebs of the past. Mother Redcaps eventually fell into disrepair and ruin before being demolished in October 1974. All of its secrets disappeared under the bulldozer's shovel. But more of that later. Joseph Ruiz in his book records that during the demolition a bulldozer fell through a hole in the ground, revealing a large well with an entrance door part of the way down. The foreman, however, insisted that the well be filled in, and threatened instant dismissal to anyone contacting the authorities. Mother Redcap's secrets were finally buried. All that is left of Mother Redcaps is the original entrance. Mother Redcaps was demolished to make way for a care home. Using archive material and first-hand accounts, we can bring our story to life and separate fact from fiction. In 1850, a large quantity of gold guineas from the time of William and Mary was discovered in the Guinea Gap. It was thought to be the stash of Mother Redcap. The location of the find is marked by a stone plaque. Using John Giles' map of 1836, X marks the spot. Now to separate fact from fiction. The earliest reference to Mother Redcaps appears in the Liverpool Mercury dated 23rd of June 1854. Mr. James Stonehouse, a local historian, appears to have invented the myth. The story, recollected by an old man he met in Mother Redcaps, has all the classic elements of a tall story, from her red cap, down to smugglers, tunnels, sailors, and lost treasure. The building was redeveloped in 1888, using much of the old building, by a retired solicitor and artist named Joseph Kitchingman. In 1960 it briefly became the Galleon Club, before reverting to Mother Redcap's Cafe, and even a hotel. After numerous business failures, the property fell into disrepair. Its mystery continues to this very day. Mother Redcaps, a tavern that stood just above the high water mark of the River Mersey, had a large cellar, and bore the evil reputation of having been a great rendezvous for privateersmen and smugglers. Its proprietor was an elderly lady named Pole Jones, who always wore a red bonnet. She was a great friend to smugglers and privateers, acting as a banker, minding their earnings while they were at sea. Many of the clientele came from the crews of privateers, who anchored at Red Betts, the anchorage just opposite the tavern. Pole Jones first appears in Mr. Bertram Furness's writing, from the Wallasey and Wirral Chronicle of 6th of May, 1927. The name, Mother Redcap, was a favourite inn sign, and was a symbol of good ale and hospitality, and continues to this present day. It is true that Wallasey was a haunt of smugglers, and sailors avoiding press gangs. The Mersey estuary was a stretch of water with many hazards for ships, with a network of shifting channels and sandbanks. The Rock Channel ran parallel with the Wirral coast, and was used to enter the Mersey at New Brighton. This was regarded as the main approach, and could spell disaster for ships in bad weather. Before the construction of the lighthouse, a timber tripod supporting a lantern, called a rock perch, was used as a crew beacon, to allow shipping to pass the rock safely, and was first erected in 1683. The fishermen's cottages, situated at the tip of the peninsula, were well placed to take full advantage of the wrecks. Wallasey for wreckers, Poulton for trees, Liscard for honest men, and Seacombe for thieves. Storms and disasters occurred on a regular basis. In late October 1775 houses were unroofed, chimneys were blown down, and no less than 15 ships were driven on shore. News reports of the Wallasey wreckers can be found throughout the 19th century. The sea has carved out numerous caves along the coast, which have now been blocked off, following the construction of the promenade. This part of the coast offered many opportunities for smuggling and wrecking. The rugged coastline caused numerous wrecks, with the caves and tunnels close by, to hide the contraband. These natural advantages were utilized to the greatest extent by the inhabitants. A slight inconvenience to the clientele of Mother Redcaps, who suffered from the attentions of the few customs officers stationed at the rock. Probably the most famous being the Wormhole Caves. One of the tunnels went from the Yellow Noses to a private entrance located on Wellington Road, while another tunnel led to Cliff Villa, now replaced by high-rise flats. The first reference to the Wormhole Caves appears in the Journal of John Huff, in June 1757. The cave is said to have been used as a smuggler's cave. Boats could moor up at the entrance, the contraband could then be taken up to the house. It was suggested that many of the tunnels and caves are interconnected.